Good morning, professional colleagues who are joining us on this program, CITN Taxation and You, put together by our institute, the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, and it gives me great pleasure to be your anchor for the February edition, which is happening today. First and foremost, I want to greet every of our viewers that are connected. Happy New Month. It's going to be a fulfilling month for us. As you've all received today, we will be talking on the topic running a successful tax practice in Nigeria. And we've gone all out to get a seasoned and accomplished professional or practitioner who has actually fulfilled in our place of endeavor. And it gives me the honor to be guesting today our own Miss Dr. Mrs. Justina Okoro, FCTR. And you're welcome. Good morning, madam.
It's a pleasure, Mr. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Together, we'll be having a discussion on the topic running a successful tax practice in Nigeria. But let me just give you a small prologue of the reason for the choice of topic for this February edition. I'm sure you all know that the place of small, medium enterprise is strategic for the growth of our economy. And you can see when this new administration came in, the first area of focus was to look at the fiscal policy, and of which taxation happens to be one of the area. And that is just the major reason why we feel as practitioners we need to talk to ourselves on the basic things that we need to have so that we can plug into the vision of the country, the new administration, and together we can be better off for it. But I want to just give a small profile of who my paper presenter or my guest this morning is. Dr. Justina Okoro is a field marshal in tax practice, currently the chairman Taxation Standard and Practice Monitoring Committee, an executive member of the Council of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, and also a former national chairperson of the Society of Women in Taxation. So, to hit the ground running, madam, once again, good morning to CITN, Taxation, and You. Thank you, yeah. We want to start looking at the topic, running a successful tax practice in Nigeria. I want to ask the question for the knowledge of our viewers. What is the minimum structure needed to set up a tax practice in Nigeria?
I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here today and for inviting me for this auspicious occasion. I also want to thank our viewers and members of the Institute who have supported the Institute in various ways over the years. Now, getting back to your question, what structure needs to be put in place in setting up a tax practice? When you're looking at structure, we are defining structure from three perspectives. We want to look at it from ownership structure. If you look at it from ownership structure, I will say that one person or the owner, the intended practitioner, is a key factor in the structure. The intended practitioner needs to be available, to be prepared psychologically, to go all the way out to practice. The other aspect of structure we might be looking at is in terms of human resource structure. When we look at minimum number or minimum you require, I would say maybe you need 2 people in addition to the proprietor of the business or the intended practitioner. The reason you might require 2 staff at the initial stage of setup is at any point in time, it's necessary for you to have 1 person in the office, while you also have somebody else to do the runaround. Now we also look at structure in terms of location. Location is a function of the kind of goal you have set for yourself. You want to have a kind of structure that is based in a commercially oriented area. You want to be in a quiet place, in which case you could use a residential place as your location. So these are the kind of things you need to have in mind in getting your structure. If you are looking at starting in a smaller way, then looking at accommodation that you might be able to pay between 3 million and 5 million may be a good start. So those constitute what minimum structure you need to have if you are into one man, what we call micro practicing firm.
Thank you very much, ma. Our guest this morning has been able to do justice, giving us perspective that the minimum structure can be segregated into three aspects. Talking about the practitioner who is commencing the project, you must have a goal, you must have a focus, you must have a drive upon which the second structure will rely on, and those are the staff that you are going to work with. And based on the fact that it's a small medium enterprise, we've had a suggestion of our guest this morning saying you can start with a minimum of two, someone to stay back in the office and the other one to do the leg run for you. And the last one, speaking to your choice of location, whether to be at the commercial ops where you can have access to your client, or you just want to be segregated and be the one to do the running to your client. That will take me to the second question, because the major essence of you setting up your practice is not far-fetched, that you are actually satisfying the client. And on this, my question will be riding. Knowing your client is very important in tax practice. In fact, it's not only in tax practice, even in the banking, there's what we call KYC, know your customer. But here we can say, know your client. So it's still the same KYC. What are the necessary things that you think we need to know before accepting to represent a client? And give us the guide to the engagement rule for those that are actually starting up a new tax practice.
Thank you very much. Know your client, like you said, is very vital. And so what do you need to know? You know, a lot of people, they are conscious of the amount of money the person is interested in paying. But that's not the major thing you need here. You need to know the background of your potential clients. What type of business does your potential clients do? What is the source of their funding? Are they into manufacturing? Are they into service? Or are they into a kind of service that cannot be defined? Some could come to Nigeria and say they are into mining, but you cannot really lay a specific mining outfit that they are carrying out. They just give you a bogus name as to what they do. So you need to take your time to study, do a due diligence of a potential client to understand their businesses, to understand their sources of income before you attempt to take them up. If possible, take up their Corporate Affairs Commission booklets or memorandum of article for association, which has specified the core businesses they have indicated they want to do. And vis-a-vis what you have seen on ground in course of your due diligence, you will be able to know whether they are honest people and the people you can do businesses with. These are very key things you need to know. Apart from the general business background, you may also want to know who are the kind of people they have had businesses with in the past. For example, have they engaged a tax consultant before? Why do they want to leave that tax consultant for you? Is it as a result of inability to pay fee? Because there are people that possibly they have accumulated fee of another practitioner so much that the only way they could be able to continue with tax services is to look for a neutral person, to look for another person. Sometimes they even go out of their base. They could take them from outside that very vicinity, the state, bring them from another state to do, or possibly they have been able to get 500,000 naira, and they feel they can get somebody to quickly do some work for them and get their tax clearance which they need for that particular year. So they ignore the other one. They have accumulated so huge. So it then means that if you are a licensed practitioner, you should be able to do some of these background checks to know what kind of relationship they had with the previous consultant. Then, if possible, pick a call, talk to the consultant to hear from him as to the reason why this organization want to change him. If it is for a genuine cause, possibly he's leaving practice for another place, or he's getting jackpotting out of the country. So that could be a genuine reason for you to take up. So you need to be able to look at some of these factors before you can now decide to accept engagement with a new company. And in terms of the engagement procedure, which will help young practitioners, sometimes you ask a company to give you a letter of engagement or even an appointment letter. Some may feel reluctant, but you just have to insist. There must be something, an appointment letter, because that is your basis for even charging them fee. Otherwise, you might do work, and at the end of the day, it will end up in voicemail if you meet some very, very sinister kind of people. So you need to get an appointment letter from them. And then you need to prepare an engagement letter based on your discussion with management, with the CEO of the company, the CFO of the company. What is the scope of the work you are supposed to do there? Did they invite you for their corporate tax services? Are they extending it to personal income tax, value-added tax services? Are they extending it to the usual audit services? What exactly do you want to do for them? Document it as a scope and then price it properly using our necessary rates as can be applicable to them, to be able to tie your fee and agree it, ensure you have agreed that fee with them before you document it in your letter of engagement to them. That's one of the things that is vital for any new or intending practitioner.
Thank you very much. If you are just joining us, we are having the February edition of CITN Taxation and we've been talking to a field marshal who has successfully carried out a tax practice and talking to us on running a successful tax practice in Nigeria, Dr. Justina Okoro. Maybe a fallout from the question you just enlightened our guest viewers on talking about knowing your customer. I want to ask a fallout question on it. Do you think as tax practitioners, is there any reason for us to specialize if we have understanding of who our clientele base look like, or is something that we can just move across board all the tax practice that we have within our domain?
Yeah, thank you very much once again. Well, specialization is key now in globally in all sphere, even those that are into product manufacturing. Some have tried to come down to specialize in one or two products so that they'll be able to be more effective in it. So even in practice, it is also important if we can specialize. But you see, it does not also stop your firm from carrying out different aspects of tax, but you have different people specializing in each of them. For example, if you have a firm as a small and medium practitioner, you can actually collaborate, we call it collaboration, with other colleagues of yours, and who have training in a specified area, you can collaborate with them in such a way that when there are jobs that relates to their own area of specialization, they bring in their CVs, you collate together, you submit proposal together in that area. So they are already part of the technical team that will execute that job. And when it comes, you come together, they will do that aspect, then you do the other aspect. At the end of the day, the fee is paid. You have an agreement as to how you share the fee based on the contribution of each person into that particular project. So while it is that your firm is not really into oil and gas, but there are other firms that are into oil and gas. And once there are job-related oil and gas, you could collaborate to execute such jobs. That's the way I see it.
Thank you very much, Ma. Collaboration is key and very fundamental. And this will take me to a question, knowing fully well the circumstances we found ourselves in the country. When you talk about collaboration, what are the basic red flags? I will put it that one needs to look at, because you are getting the job, you may not have the technical expertise as expected, but you now have someone you want to collaborate with. What are the areas that we need to look out for when you are actually looking out for who to collaborate? It's not about having the technical expertise, as you first alluded to. I believe there are other things that a beginner needs to explore. What are these few things based on your experience as a tax practitioner?
In collaborating with colleagues, there are basic things you need to do. One is the character of the firm or the colleague you're collaborating. What are they known for? Are they known for maybe being smart or fraudulent? What are they known for? Inconsistency? Are they known for inability to deliver on time? What is it that you think might constitute a problem in collaborating with them? So such may have to avoid and look for, because there are in every field, I can tell you there are more than 20 firms that are also experts in that area. So if you think these particular people may not meet your own goals, policy, standard that you have set for your organization, then you might as well look for other people that you can align together to deliver quality service to a client. I can tell you there is no professional colleague of ours that will not, because that's the message we've been preaching in practice, will not be willing to collaborate in terms of fee. The only thing that everybody wants to do is small background check of the other, and if you're satisfied, you will discover that you can work together. There are people that even have jobs in UK, and they from all the way from UK, they gave them that job, and it's in Nigeria here. They don't need to come down. They get somebody else over here that could work together with them, but they will have done some checks. Some even go to LinkedIn, do some studies, do some check here and there to be very, very sure that this was the person that can deliver. The reason why you need to do that is that, one job also brings another job. Yeah. So if you bring somebody that will, in Nigeria, we call it for your hand, or not able to perform, obviously it will affect your ability to get another one from such people. So that you need to guard against something. So there are many people, there are colleagues you have worked with in the past in some places. So it's quite easy. You may have known some of them that you are 100% sure of them. And so you can easily call on such people and explain that this is what is on the ground. Another thing about collaboration is truthfulness is very key, honesty. You need to be able to disclose everything.
Full disclosure.
Yeah, full disclosure. Oh, this is the job. They want to give us this job for $100,000. You have expertise in this. I could do the other aspects, administrative aspect, the collation of report aspects of this one, but in terms of the technicality of it, you put it together, then I can do this aspect of the work. This is the amount. So if you do it, what do we give you? Can you take this? I take this for running costs and running expenses and some other things. Once there's transparency, once there's full disclosure, once there's honesty of purpose, then collaboration becomes easier.
Thank you very much, my guest. Sincerely speaking, for people who are actually yearning to go into practice, you seems to be making the work very, very easy for them. Even for some of us who are not practitioners who speak, I'm already getting enthusiastic of possibly going into a tax practice in no distance time. But a fallout of the last comment you made in area of collaboration, I'm just thinking aloud that rather than all the time looking out for who to collaborate with, what will be your view in terms of merging? Possibly, I know this is my strength, that is your strength, and we've observed. So rather than continued due diligence each time you have that kind of fee, why can't we come together after establishing good collaboration and merge to be an entity so that we can compete favorably with the medium and the big four? What is your view about this, man?
There are so quite the advantages of merger is actually far outweighs the disadvantages there. So it's a very important thing you have mentioned that why don't we come together and form an alliance, form a bigger firm. It gives room for competitiveness. It gives you access to more funding. It gives you access to a better valued client. There are quite a lot of things. So it's a nice thing if people can come together and then so we can make use of our specialization, meaning that, oh, you are the head of this particular unit, I am the head of this particular unit, that one is the head of that particular unit, and then with that, any job that comes our way, we'll be able to get in. Yeah. We'll be able to flow, we'll be able to apply for it, we'll be able to get it, we'll be able to compete with the bigger firms. Because when we match, we'll also be able to attract quality staff. Some will be willing to even leave some of these bigger places to come down because they know that in no sooner time, they will be made partners or directors in such a because of the value they want to bring to the table. So it's good. But somehow, however, there are some little challenges when it comes to people coming together for merging. And that is why some people prefer a situation where they collaborate together to do a particular work and everybody takes their own share and go. And that is, when it comes to this thing, is the issue of maybe organizational differences. The culture you have built for your business, the culture you have built for his business, the culture you have built for me. So some people out of that differences may not want to come together. Another one is also a matter of trust. When there is a trust deficiency, especially if you have worked together in the past and you have some trust deficiency, coming together to merge together is also with suspicion. So some may not want to go into that. But apart from this, it's quite advantageous if we could come together. It helps us with economic of scale. It helps us to have a better scope at a reduced cost. And that would be nice if a lot of SMTS can go into that.
Thank you very much, my guest, Dr. Justina Okoro. The person you are hearing that I'm guesting today actually is the former national chairperson of the Society of Women in Taxation, and she has been enlightening us for all of us who might be interested in moving for tax practice, or those that are there, how can we run a successful tax practice? Also, I have this to tell you that she has been able to highlight some areas of which I know is basic and fundamental to things that we do. Ethics is fundamental. Ethics is key. And if you understand, I've read severally where they will tell you that the only thing that produces 100% for you when you want to do is about your attitude. Your attitude is key. Your attitude is fundamental. If you are going into practice or you have an existing practice. Also, we have to let you know that relationship goes a long way. If we don't have a relationship with one another for what you have said, how can we collaborate? How do I know what you're doing? And you need exposure so that you'll be out there to actually present what you are out to do. And these are the basic rudiment of actually having a successful practice, as actually been alluded to by our guests. And if you are joining us globally, it's still CITN Taxation and You, the February edition. In continuation, I want to bring this to you that in this era of numerous economic challenges, it's good to say some of these things. It's easier said, but at times when you want to practicalize it, it's a challenge that you want to see. We all know that we are faced with economic challenges and inconsistency in policy. How can we maintain strong quality control and remain consistent in that we're doing, knowing fully well that you spoke about ethics in this that we're doing and having the right attitude?
Okay, thank you very much. To maintain a quality control in our various practices, the first thing is to leadership responsibility. The partners or directors in the firm must take responsibility for every activity or for everything that's happened within the firm. And so they will need to lead a life of example. They need to be able to give direction as to where they want the firm to get to, either financially, morally, and in terms of enlargement. It is when they have been able to put their goals forward, and they are also seen to be people that practices what they have documented for their team to do, then they'll be able to establish a good quality control in that organization. Another one of the quality control that is necessary is for them to be able to talk about performance in their organization. Their corporate performance is another way of them being able to have good quality control. They must be firms that pride themselves in their performance. If you look at over the news in the last 1 week, you will hear news of Deloitte, Ernst & Young, global, I'm talking about their global performance. In fact, there was a publication that talked about the profit. I think, I don't know whether it's KPMG or one of them put forward. That's a bad performance, and that is what helps them to maintain a certain level of quality control. So for small and medium practices, you also must be able to have your own goals, set something that in terms of your performance in that particular organization. Then you'll be able to have good quality. You'll be able to give people qualitative job. Another thing is they're looking at in terms of quality control, is your monitoring. How do you monitor what your team is doing? Some people or some firms, when their team go out, they compromise, especially in our tax sphere. Some even indirectly collect the job of their firms. It shows that there are poor quality control in place, or the way they put their team to work, there's a challenge there. So it is these are the things that we need to put in place. Apart from that, in terms of our ethics, how competent are the people working in that firm? What kind of a qualification do they have? Do they have the kind of qualification that makes them to do the tax work? For example, how many of them are members of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria? In that particular, so a way of also putting quality control is to say that, oh, before you can sign off on our tax return, you must be a member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. You must have gotten your practicing license, because you must be able to be the person that comply with regulatory provisions. And regulatory provisions comes from both the government, the statutory provisions, and even the professional bodies you belong to. Yeah. The professional bodies you belong to have their own code of conduct specified that guides their members. So everyone in practice, part of your quality control is to ensure compliance with this code of conduct, compliance with these procedures, compliance with what has been set up by your professional body. And then you will be able to have a good and qualitative tax practice. Apart from that, another okay.
Brilliant submission, man. Sorry that I have to interject you there, because I know there are a lot of things that you want to, and it's important that you have the quality control mechanism, because what you don't control will definitely overrun you, and that might yield. In no distance time, I'll be yielding the floor for our members to actually interact with us. But this question, I decided to reserve it for this time before I open the floor, knowing fully well that tax practice entails relationship with tax authority. As a matter of fact, if you are not in the practice, you cannot understand the dynamics of relating with the tax administrator, the tax authority, who you are supposed to make some of your submission to. I want to ask, Ma, with your vast years of experience and successfully carrying out the practice, how do you think the new coming practitioners, or those that have been there, can have an harmonious and cordial relationship with tax authority, with tax administrator on behalf of the clients that they are representing?
Okay. When we look at tax authority, it is the humans there, the staff there, that constitutes the relationship we're talking about.
Yeah.
The people you have contact with, because they are the ones that do carry out the day-to-day activities there. And for you to successfully carry out any assignment for a client, you need to develop an attitude or a character to relate well with the tax officers in a professional manner. Now, one of the ways, from my own perspective, having worked in KPMG and having been in tax departments, I have most of the people who are even directors today were people who were inspectors quite some years ago. Wow. So at that time, many of them are people that we relate with more with their bosses. So the relationship had been built then. So whenever there is any assignment, you can even just stay from the office and make a call and send somebody to them, and they will be glad to be of help. So because you build relationship, so that has been built over the years. Our institute is also another good platform to establish relationship with the tax authorities, because they are also part of the institute. Yeah. Now, if you belong to a district society, for example, some of the members of that district society work in this state or federal tax authorities. So if you're a regular member of the district and you interact with each other, already you have made some relationship with them. So anytime you have job You may not even go there. You will just call them. I need this, I have this. Do I need to come alone or I send someone? Some may say, oh, because of this, so come together, let us sit down and iron it out. And some may say, oh, no, it doesn't mean that you should come. Send somebody who will handle it effectively. So these are the areas you will develop relationship with them. Apart from that, the reason I said that you need also to have to be professional is that if you're the type that they know you are a professional, especially when you have to represent your client outside your base, and you go there not with the mind of you want to settle people and get them down, but you to do your work professionally, even they themselves, they will respect you.
Very good. Very good. Our guest has been able to throw light on some of the things that we need to have if you have good relationship. As you're starting small, those people that you consider to be on the lower cadre, tomorrow will be on the high platform. So whatever you build now are some of the things that you enjoy when they climb the ladder. And she emphasized on it. When you're building the relationship, try as much as possible to be professional in the things you carried out. And above all, the Institute have created a platform at which you can have easy access to the high and mighty that you're saying. Majority of these administrators are part of our programs, either at the district level, at the national level, wherever you see. I remember there was a period I was at a conference. The man seated next to me was the director, and he was simply dressed. We exchanged cards, and the rest story, don't bother to ask me. But you want to know the reason why the anchor is living light. It's because of my relationship. I think thereafter I had easy access to him with some of the job that I need to carry out, even not peculiar to me, but some of the colleagues, I would say it's difficult to have access to him. So try as much as possible to be part of the activities being carried out by the Institute, either at the district level or at the national level. On that note, I want to open the platform for us to have questions for our guests before we bring the program to a close. And permit me to first and foremost recognize Ismaila Babatunde, who is raising up his hands. Can you unmute yourself so that we can have your question?
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Very well.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. And I want to thank Dr. Mrs. Okoro for the wonderful submission so far. This is my contribution.
Sorry, Ismaila, you're muted.
To look inward on the practice, especially for the tax practice in Nigeria. Recently, I've said this in many platforms, and I'll repeat it today. Recently, I came to Lagos.
Your network seems okay.
Yeah, it's fluctuating actually. A call came in. So I mentioned that we have one of the IRS in Nigeria. I will not mention the name of the IRS, that they are demanding for land charge payments before tax clearance is issued. And in fact, I must tell you that some of us that are into practice these days, we are not even interested in going to some of these tax offices, especially the IRS, because when you get there, you realize that they are coming with or doing something that is outside the tax principles, and it's quite unfortunate that at times you even feel like, do you even know this tax at all? Are you a tax practitioner? So just like what Mrs. Okoro rightly said, that there are people working in the tax authority. Some of them don't really have the required knowledge. Some of them don't have the qualification. So I want to, at this point, mention that they should be doing a kind of training and retraining for all the staff and let them understand what is the new trend in the tax system. So I believe with this kind of training, it will bring up, to the for many people to have understanding of the new trends and all that. So let me stop here. Maybe if I have other things, I don't know you're going to
Thank you very much, Ismaila, for that contribution. Truth be told, and I can share this information with you that the Institute is already in collaboration right from the national level, the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the State Internal Revenue Service of several of their members or staff becoming member of the Institute. And with the continuous mandatory technical program and sessions like this, they will be exposed to the ethics and the professional conduct of what it is. You know, it's a profession that accommodates other fields into which you have to play. The Institute is rigorously working in collaborating with them. Even there are some that we engage with trainings. I can speak to it as we speak. Even though we are within the country, we are providing training for professional all the way from Gambia. Is to tell you how important the Institute takes the issue of training. Let me welcome Mr. Obi Anoye. Mr. Obi, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, my doctor. One of my questions is this. Do we have a system in the Institute where a professional person who encounters rough deal with IRS, like my friend mentioned earlier, where we can report that IRS?
Okay.
That is one. Another one I want to ask. Let me lay foundation first. There is a freedom of contract. Now, having laid this foundation, if I, as a professional person, a client wants me to do settle, otherwise he will give it to Mr. A. I should take position. Go and settle. I'll give it to Mr. A if you don't. And I said no. That Mrs. Okoro said we shouldn't do such a thing. And he actually carried out the threat. I mean, the client, I give it to Mr. A who went to do settlement. If I can prove indeed that he nudged me in this way, can I report to the Institute?
Okay, those questions are well noted.
Other professional, yeah.
Yeah, those are noted. I think we have two questions from Mr. Obi. The floor is open. Respond to it, man. Yeah. Respond to it, man.
Okay, Mr. Obi, thank you very much for your question. Your first question, I think is equally similar to the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about where there's a misconduct from the IRS. How do we report them?
Yeah, to the Institute.
To the Institute.
Yeah.
Some people have done it in the past from other states. If there are issues that borders on maybe code of conduct, that as a professional you think you could not be able to go ahead of it, I think you should start from that IRS as a professional. I'm not too sure you have gone to meet the chairman, and as a member of the Institute, you have access to the chairman of that, the particular IRS you are referring to. So yeah, if there are issues, if you have challenges within the system there, meet the chairman to relate your experience. Meet the director in charge of that particular area, maybe director tax payments and receipts, director assessments. Meet them. Those are higher level people who are our professional members. And let them know that you are a member of the Institute, and based on the teachings for practitioners in terms of ethics, you had one or two challenges with the staff in this area, especially with respect to your client cases, and you will appreciate his intervention to get this sorted out. I tell you that from experience, they will be glad to resolve that issue. In fact, they will call those staff you had issue with to find out what exactly is the problem and give them instruction. Because at that level, you are bringing up yourself as a professional who is not ready to compromise or to do things that will not be good. It does not necessarily mean that maybe at the end of the day, just that they are not patient. At the end of the day, as a professional, sometimes you have acknowledge those who have worked with you, and sometimes you even come back there to say thank you to them, but not necessarily them making it a condition for you to make progress in your professional work. That is not acceptable. But I think I want you to explore the internal mechanism within the board by talking to their top management. Okay. And if that is not resolved, then the next line of action is to write the president through the registrar and make your formal complaint. I can assure you that the president will take it up at the board, at the JTB meeting, by talking with the chairman of that specific board, bringing your concern, and I believe that that issue will definitely be resolved. And the next time you go there, they will act or they relate with you professionally. But I want to warn first that before you take such action, also ensure that your work, you are complying with the provisions of the law, that you have it. Because if you're not complying with provision of the law and you want them to help you, then you also must be able to calm down to explain the areas you need their intervention to sort out that particular client's case. So being compliant from your side is also very key in addressing some of these issues. You won't always have challenge with them when on your own part you are not able to comply and you want them to maybe ignore or to pretend to be blind over some issues, and then that is when you give them room to make their own suggestions.
Okay, to you. Thank you very much, Ma. We sincerely, and I'm sure that meets the yearning of Mr. Obi. There are mechanisms you need to put in place. Let's explore it internally, and from there we can write to the institute, and I can assure you, the president being a member of the JTB board will definitely take that up. Let me especially recognize a member of the ATC committee, Shiliola Deboale, for constantly reminding us about the ATC. I will quickly take brief questions from three of our participants because our time is fast spent. Dr. Lucy, your question in a minute, so that we'll take the first three questions and we'll call it a wrap today. Dr. Lucy, please unmute and ask a question.
Hi.
Yeah, we can hear you. You are live.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, our indefatigable council member, Dr. Carol. I appreciate your presentation this morning. And from what you have just mentioned concerning our ethical requirements, because the topic of this course is how to be effective in our tax practice. And to that effect, I want to also add something to what you have just said. For us to really be relevant in this practice, I've been in practice for some years now, and I know that our comportment matters. The way we present ourselves matters. The way we dress matters, because you might not know who is the potential client. If you are somebody who dresses shabbishly, you might, because the way you dress is the way the people is going to address you. And if you want to make it in this practice, you must know how to present yourself, especially from the way you are, kitchen, or the way you present or dress during any presentation, or if you're about to meet a potential client. Okay. Having said that, you mentioned about collaboration. For us to also to be effective in this practice, you cannot be in your office and you think that you know it all. You must meet with your colleagues. Like this period now, we are discussing about annual tax conference. This is an avenue where a person who is in practice can come out exchange cards, exchange ideas. You might
Yeah.
not know who you are going to collaborate tomorrow. You might be lucky, you discuss with somebody who is also working in an area you're not conversant with. From that period, you might get a job because you have known that person and you have discussed with that person. You might engage him or her to assist you to carry out some
Dr.
assignments.
Lucy, permit me, I will be interjecting you because of our time. I think I hear that submission and our members have known that. Just permit me to just go to the next question. Dr. Lucy, thank you very much for the contribution. And I promise you that the younger ones are learning. I will take it up. Dotson, can I have you in a minute, your question, before I go to the question on the chat box?
Okay, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am.
Morning, you're welcome.
My question is more or less not a full question per se, but observation, especially from the FRS MSTOs or MTAs. If we discover MTOs, we discover that anytime we submit returns, and Mommy have said earlier on that some of these people, they don't have the knowledge even to interpret the financial statement that you submitted to them. And they will now say they are doing debt review. I don't know what the institute want to take up on this debt review. It's affecting us on yearly basis, which may lead to a situation of about 6 months being wasted without giving us tax clearance. They will say they are doing debt review. Well, how do you do debt review? They will talk up with arbitrary add-backs, disqualifying some expenses, disallow some expenses, without even vouching any evidential document. No receipt, no invoice being checked, and you are saying you are doing debt review. I think the institute have a role to help us in this case to ensure that they discuss with the high-level power in FRS that the issue of debt review should be abolished because they are still coming for subsequent audits at the client office. So what's the essence of debt review when you know you still have audit to take? This is my take, sir.
Okay, Dr. Mr. Dotton, your submission is alluded to. One thing I can guarantee you is that I don't want to hear one side of the story. We are talking as professional. I think I would note this question and bring in an administrator so that we can challenge them before the institute, who now have to be, the intermediary, can speak that this is the problem of my practitioner and the perspective of the administrator. Then we can know whether we can have a submission to abolish the test review. Before I come to you, Mr. Ude, which will be the last question. I want us to take the question that we have from Moses, saying that how can they encourage the young ones to come into the practice in terms of the small jobs being handed over to them from the big ones, the big ogas who has been the old practitioners that has been there, so that at least the younger generation maybe can take the crop. I won't want to react to that, but let me yield the floor to our guests to do justice to that in a minute.
Okay. Okay, before I take this one, I want to also comment on what Dotun said with respect to desk review. Well, that desk review has been undergoing in and out. There was a year it was abolished, or they stopped it. And in the last dispensation, I think it depends on the dispensation of the chairman in power. So in the last dispensation of Nani, they brought it back. And now, like you rightly said, it involves a lot of time, because somebody cannot just say it's disallowing a particular expenses that is genuinely incurred, and you keep quiet about it. You have to keep going on. And we discover that sometimes they will just see money flowing into the bank statement, and they tell you that the income enters, and you ask them, you should know the breakdown of income. Everything that enters somebody's lodgement account might be somebody else's money. So that cannot be alluded to income. So there are different things about it. Like you said, it actually wastes a lot of time. But I want to advise that when you get to the crossroad there, in terms of that, you just tell the tax controller that you need your tax clearance certificates, that they should refer this case to tax audit. because
Yes.
you've done all you could. And if they are not satisfied, they should send the file for tax audit and give you a temporary tax clearance to proceed to do your work. Then the other person asking question, how can the big firms assist the upcoming ones with clients? The truth of the matter is those years, the big firm have a cutoff. Maybe any job below 500,000 naira, they will not take it because they have so much. But you know, with the advent of merger, some people who were individual practitioners come together, merge. So they have also become formidable. And some of them have been able to win some of the jobs the big four were handling before. And that has made it that those who are that we call big four or big eight, that they don't even consider any job now as small, because that small job can actually pay the security man's salary. They only give it to maybe one, they will just give such job to their trainees, what they call associates, to handle such a job. So what that means now is that the young practitioner will need to start it gradually. There are places you could go. If you are based in Lagos, for example, and you go to this where they call the spare part dealer inside the Dumota market, you know, there are many places that you have smaller SMS companies which are so you can actually approach them and start with small. You know, they might say those people don't like to pay more than 50,000 naira. It doesn't matter. You can treat it as part of the pro bono, but it's a way of gathering people. And from there, some of them might introduce people to you. And so job will not take you more than 3 days. So if you have 5 of them and you do it in 1 week, you have also gotten something that you will get. That kind of a thing. So to look for the big four to give them their jobs, you have to do that on individual basis, not on from the firm point of view. The firm will not give you. But if you meet some of their staff, maybe that in case you come across any job or your company cannot do, remember me.
They will relinquish it to you. Thank you very much, ma. Permit me. I know there are a lot of things that is within you to give to my viewer, but there is one thing that keeps cheating us, and that is time. I sincerely want to appreciate your presence, ma. You have to, because of your commitment to the Institute, you have to flee all the way from Abuja to be part of this program. I acknowledge this and I appreciate you. And from the comments that we've heard from our viewers, it shows that you've actually given a depth insight to it. Thank you very much, Dr. Mrs. Justina Okoro, for coming. In the next 1-2 minutes, I quickly want to roll out a few questions. Apology to those that I may not be able to take their question today. One thing I can assure you, drop them at the message box. I will pick them up, share with the guest, and we'll definitely disseminate back to you. On the final note, let me share the announcement that the annual tax conference that we've always been talking about comes up in the month of May, May 13 to 17 at our International Conference Center. Our topic of discuss is Sustainable Tax Conference and Economic Roadmap for Nation Building, and our seasoned professionals have been prepared for this tax conference. And the fee, if you are to be there physically, members is 150,000, non-members 155,000, student members 75,000, aged member 75,000, and for our foreign delegate $500. And for the virtual participant, the student member is 50,000, and the age member is also 50,000. We encourage you because there are a series of activities to be carried out. Currently, I can tell you that there is a discount offered to members who are able to register between now and March 31st. Please, let's key into this and make sure that we register. And also, the first month has ended, and I want to believe that we've all got the demand notice to pay our subscription. Subscription is key, and that is the only means at which we can run the Institute effectively. We want to encourage you to visit our portal, pay up your subscription. I'm sure if you go to the message box, we'll be dropping the link for you to generate and log in into your portal to pay your subscription. It is very much germane, And also make sure you attend the MTP. Don't just pay the fee. It is an area where you need to enrich your knowledge and grow yourself so that you'll be a better person. Our time is fast spent and it's not a friend. On this note, I'll be calling it a short today until we come your way on first Thursday in the month of March. I want to assure you that CITN Taxation and You is a platform for you to enrich yourself and make sure you win somebody to be part of the program every month. Till next month, stay care and be part of every activities that go on in the institute. I remain your host, Olusesan Okwade. Bye for now.